Welcome back. It's 2012, the year that the UK went Olympics crazy, and the year I turned 40. How did I celebrate this milestone? Well, I had a boy who was now 4 years old. So what do you think we did? Ideas? Anyone? Yeah, of course. We went to Legoland. Obvious, really. There's such fun at that age, so yeah, I was only too happy to indulge in. But alongside the constant Pixar movies, the Nintendo games, the preschool TV shows, and the Lego, I was only too happy to plump for something more grown up, more seasoned when it came to the occasional bit of music that I could fit in this year. Which wasn't a lot. My mother-in-law was now on her own, so lots of driving, lots of weekend visits, bit of a blur really. My only other recollection is that this was about the time that I really got the DIY bug. Starting with effects pedals, which you've probably seen in a few of my other videos, I started making my own speaker cabinets. My first one, that's the green number you can see here alongside the Vela set, that was a bit of a learning experience. But I kept going after that and I had a lot of fun. This detuned, oversized 1x12 cabinet turned out especially well. In fact, after this, I never bought another speaker cab again. It's that easy. A bit of Tolex, a plunger router, steady hand, nothing to it. But as with last year, I'll roll with my significant pick first and mention my others of interest later in the video. You may recall, if you're a regular, that I debated whether or not the National constituted dad rock, and that was back in 2010. The jury's still out on that one, but for this one, the evidence is overwhelming. His second starring appearance in this series, an elder statesman, a survivor, a curmudgeon, a bit of a liability sometimes. But when he wasn't making protest records, synth detours, concept albums, country records, contract busters, he'd saddle up the horse and ride the range. This is Neil Young and Crazy Horse with Psychedelic Pill. A notable Neil Young release for several reasons, one of which is actually the deal breaker for many listeners. That being length. It clocks in at a few minutes shy of an hour and a half across 2 CDs, or across 3 pieces of vinyl, 5 sides music, 1 side etched. I'll revisit length later, but the other reason to single out Psychedelic Pill in the huge Neil Young discography is because it was the final studio album from a version of Crazy Horse that had persisted for going on 40 years. Neil's guitar foil in Crazy Horse, that's Frank Poncho San Pedro, who'd been pretty much ever present since 1975's Zuma, announced his retirement in 2014 and was replaced very shortly afterwards by Nils Lofgren. So between the daunting length and the unshakable bedrock playing of Poncho, Psychedelic Pill has a good shot at being the ultimate distillation of the Neil Crazy Horse experience. Meandering, ragged, able to pivot from freeform hippie grunge into electrifying, ghostly rock music that channels something out of Young that none of his other collaborators can ever quite coax. But I'm beating around the bush. Back to the length, there's no getting around it. About 60 minutes of that 88-minute runtime is eaten up by 3 mammoth tracks. The nearly 28 minutes of opener, Drifting Back, and 16 minutes apiece from Ramada Inn and Walk Like a Giant. If you wanted to be cruel, you could retitle Drifting Back Drifting Off, as its quite slight melody and simple chord changes roil and slide and return over and over and over again. Something to just let wash over you, yes, but if you find yourself glazing over, focusing on that patch of wall or that blog post that you're reading at the same time, then the band will reel you in via a particularly animated solo or a shift of intensity or emphasis. The lyrics, though, are pure lane-changing, grumpy old man, covering everything from MP3 quality to The Man to bad haircuts and Picasso. Dylan it ain't, but it has that refreshing young honesty going for it. It's the drifting that'll get you here. Those wraith-like runs of young Poncho rolling out the Persian rug so Neil can get himself comfortably grumbling and twanging away into his happy place. It's an album which perfectly captures the live Crazy Horse phenomenon of the huddle, Billy, Ralph, Poncho, Neil, in a circle on the stage, the audience just melting away. Unlike Drifting Back, Ramada Inn and Walk Like a Giant offer no hypnagogic respite. They're spine-tingling plod rockers, both. And I'm throwing no shade there. They both settle into that comfortably nod-along tempo that suits the band's excursions off into shaky heaven. Ramada Inn's lyric is particularly poignant. An older couple facing up to their marital difficulties, the inertia, the drinking, and the love that binds them together still. This might well be the best, the most crazy horse song that Young ever captured on tape with them. It's like a darker, twisted like a hurricane, all glowering thunderclouds and difficult emotions. 16 minutes pass like that. Walk Like a Giant kicks off with a spiffy little whistling melody, lulling you in and then hitting you with an admission of the failure of Young's long-cherished hippie dream. He sings, "I used to walk like a giant on the land. Now I feel like a leaf floating in a stream." Yeah, a reckoning with that golden future that just never materialized. "Think about how close we came," he sings, as the song collapses into arc wild feedback and primordial pounding, like a dying brontosaurus heaving its last titanic breaths. A heavy, heavy number that again belies that runtime, hauling itself into a glorious fake ending before sputtering out for good. And some of the shorter numbers here provide that quickening jolt of familiarity. There's the hey hey isms of Twisted Road, the barstool crunch and crackle of She's Always Dancing, and the jaunty flip side to Don't Be Denied in the sing-along country rock of Born in Ontario. Heck, there's even cheap thrills to be had with the acid flange effect applied to the title track. But do be warned, this will not convert you if you've never got into the man in the first place. And I know there are many who can't get past his voice, his hippie diddly worldview, or his Grandpa Simpson tirades. Fair enough, but as a final ride across the prairies on this version of his faithful old steed, Psychedelic Pill packs in some pretty spectacular views. And before I continue with my other records, have you considered subscribing? Hop on board with the rest of the team. There's plenty more where this came from, and I have some exciting new content coming very soon. Okay, so what else from 2012? Well, there's this, A Future of the Left and The Plot Against Common Sense. Pretty much everything I said about Travels with Myself and Another back in 2009 applies to this one, with only very slightly diminishing returns. It's close, it really is. Failed Olympic bid washes up in Trans Am territory maybe. City of Exploded Children is as mathy as Future of the Left ever got. And those manic keyboards get a little extra airtime here, with the Gang of Four B-52 Circle being finally completed on the fidgety highlight, A Guide to Men. You can trust Falco, you're in good hands, and this album is well worth an hour of your time. And for a little respite, something a little calmer, a little less rock forward from 2012, how about Lucifer by Peaking Lights? They're a husband and wife duo whisking up beautifully blissed psychedelic dub pop treats. Twinkly, naive studio concoctions that hint at 80s pop music shorn of the plastique, wallowing in oily tape echo and syncopated goodness. Imagine Lee Scratch Perry if he was signed to Sarah Records and you're partway there. And if you're after a taster, head straight for track 6, the wonderful Low High, an irresistible, gently swaying dub number with a ridiculously infectious chorus. Yeah, I'm a fan of these despite them being well out of my regular wheelhouse, which just goes to show something, I guess. And this isn't even their best album. So that was 2012. Let me know what you think about this year below, and maybe you have a choice that I haven't brought up here. Let's talk about it. As ever, thanks for sticking with the series, with this video. Why not give it a like? And yeah, hang in there. The 2010s are a bit of a difficult patch musically, but we're getting there. And that's where I sign off. Please do take care, and I hope to see you back here very soon. Okay? Bye for now.